longer, and then its attention to the district manager as well. And just to go through it, just a 2-page letter. He says, "Dear Sir, approval to evacuate abandoned, impounded, and confiscated rosewood billets logs from the Navrongo Forest District." And it goes on to say, "Based on your reports, the Chief Executive of the Forestry Commission, in this case, the late Kujo Usofri, who was at the 24th of June, was the Chief Executive of the Forestry Commission. The letter says, based on your report submitted, the Chief Executive of the Forestry Commission has granted approval to a company known as Messrs. Original Asasia Band Company Limited to evacuate 487 billets of rosewood with an estimated volume of 107 meter cube within the Navrongo Forest District." And then it goes on to lay out the specific areas where the said rosewood will be evacuated from. So we have the Navrongo area, a place called Kayoro is one of the expected forests, Nakong, Wiaga Kandema, as well as Wiaga Kandema B, and then another place called the Kologo Chiefs Palace. And the company that this approval has been given to is the Original Asasia Band Complex Limited.
And you have the quantities attached to it as well?
The quantities attached to it with a breakdown in terms of the specific locations and everything amounting to 107 meter cube. And it goes on to say that per the attached receipt, the company has paid an amount of 20,000 Ghana cedis with an official receipt number, and the number is spelled out there, dated the 23rd of June 2020, to evacuate 4 buckets only with an equivalent volume of 107.14 meter cube. And it goes on to say all statutory payments should be fulfilled by the company in the district prior to the evacuation of the billet from the site. And please ensure that the company complies with the guidelines for the necessary evacuation of auction rosewood as per an earlier letter. And it goes on to say, kindly note, no fresh trees to be felled. And then it goes on to say the regional and district managers are to monitor the operations of the company to prevent abuse, since you will be held responsible for any infractions. And it goes on to say that the authorization actually expires
on the 6th of
July 2020.
So this is the executive director upon writing to the Forestry Commission,
the regional manager of the Forestry Commission in the Upper East region, and indicating that approval has actually been given by,
based on the reports they submitted
earlier. Based on the report they submitted earlier, the Chief Executive Officer of the Forestry Commission has actually
given approval for this activity,
that this company, Original Asasia Band Complex, to actually evacuate the logs. And from what we gather, this is not the only company that was given that authority note to go and engage in this activity. We know that a number of others. And the main concerns being raised by the residents as well as the civil society groups operating in the space is that they're taking everyone back to square one, because despite the ban that has been in force since the year 2011, we've seen a situation where repeatedly there's been the felling of the various rosewood species. And the explanation is that a lot of them go back into the communities claiming that they have a license to come do an evacuation of what they call abandoned rosewood logs, and wielding that particular document, giving them the right to go salvage, which is actually a term used to describe going in to pick logs that have been abandoned, logs that have been cut down before the coming into force of the ban. Then the claim, even as we uncovered about 2 years ago, is that some of these companies go back and they go and cut fresh rosewood logs, which was why it became necessary to ban even the idea of salvaging any such rosewood. But it looks like we are back to that same point.
And the communities are not happy with this. Gato, let's go all the way to the northern region to Sandham and speak to Jerry Akanawe. He is a resident there. He observes all that goes on there. Jerry, thank you very much for your time here on Top Story. Tell us about the situation where you are as far as the salvaging we understand which is ongoing in that region.
Thank you very much, and good evening to your listeners. I think first of all, we have to thank Joy News for taking this matter serious, to make sure that these deprived communities where these rosewood are found, that people have come to take them away, are helping to get something for the people. I think this thing started 2016, 2018, but it became serious somewhere 2018. that we the youth have to come in to the palace, because we did a lot sending them to the police stations. Anytime we took them there, they go free. But the last incident was when we took them to the palace, which found a lot of dignitaries to come there, and then they were asked to stop this thing. We get to the Joy News, and then they work on it, and we were getting information that they've asked them to stop. Then we thought this thing is over.
Jerry, let's talk about, so we know about all of these and how this has happened. We have reported that extensively. But what is happening in the community now? What is it that you have seen that you say is worrying and illegal because there's supposed to be a ban? What are people doing now?
What we are worried is that since they said they put a ban on this, it has never happened. It has never worked. People are still cutting down these things, selling them, taking them away. Just a month ago, we had 2 cars. With the first car, we made a report to the DNR, but nothing happened. So the second one, we have to take it serious. We have to go to the commander. From there, we went to the chief. But as I speak, we've seen another car, which we are putting eyes on, parked at the same place that the other car parked for some days before it left, to see whether.
And are these fresh rosewood?
Yes, we will suspect that they are fresh because they normally come with containers. And what they do is that when they cut the fresh ones, they put them first. Then they pack the dry ones that they said they've given them, they go ahead to come and salvage or to collect them. Which sometimes when you go there asking them to open for you to say it becomes a problem.
So, Jerry, thank you very much. Hold the line for me. Let's go to the other line now and speak to Clement Opak. He is MP for Busa South. Thank you very much, sir, for your time here on Top Story. I know you are very much passionate about this because it happens in your constituency. Can you corroborate these claims being made by the resident we spoke to there, Jerry?
Well, first of all, let me say good evening to you and good evening to listeners. And say yes, emphatically, I can collaborate. And it's indeed a shame, and it exposes government for all the commentaries and the claims that were made subsequent to the EIA report, and all of the investigation that was done, and the paper that was issued by government. And the thing that today, as we speak, government has seen it fit, and indeed, through the ministry and the Forestry Commission, has given the authority to companies to evacuate, as you said in your prelude to the story, abandoned, confiscated rosewood. Where does that exist? It does not exist. The same companies that have been given the permits to go and supposedly salvage the abandoned, and as you said that they were confiscated rosewood, are the same companies sponsoring young men and young women to cut the logs. So we are back to square one.
Dr. Bak, you are saying that you don't have logs that have been cut, that are old, that have been abandoned, and for that matter, cannot be salvaged?
Who has verified that? And in any case, didn't the state tell us in the heat of the debate in the wake of the EIA report that all of those logs were going to be either bent or given away to be used to make furniture, which is what I suggested? And so on what basis has government then decided to issue permits to the same criminal enterprises and their gangster members to go and salvage? What is happening is very simple and straightforward. This government, led by Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, have decided that publicly they will be claiming to be doing what is in the best interest of Ghana, protecting our environment. In this case, protecting a very endangered species like the rosewood tree, which has serious implications for the survival of the people of the northern parts of this country, and also fighting galamsey. But on the other hand, their party apparatchiks, their party members at their head office, some even at the presidency, are beneficiaries of these illegalities. And it is all because they have said before, and they said again, which was captured in the EIA report, that this was one of the ways to finance and to reward their party members. Party, that is what is happening.
But Dr. Park, when you look at the report of the committee that investigated the EIA claims, as part of the recommendation, they stated that these logs will be auctioned and companies that are interested will follow the due process to salvage them. And so this is part of the recommendation of the committee.
Well, I also know that part of that recommendation indicated that the logs were going to convey to what they describe as specific, or if you like, common sites or locations before the auctions are initiated. So why is it that they are now asking these companies to go into the area, to the source, to collect the logs? And that is where the connivance comes in. So at the same time that these companies are going to places like Bachongsa or Nakong or Kardema, as you have indicated, they are paying people to cut more logs. Then they will turn around again and go to the same ministry, go to the same forestry commission to put in applications claiming that they have become aware of logs in those parts of the country and therefore they should be issued with permits to go and collect. But let me make one very important point. In your prelude, you said that Nabongo Forest, and you said that the letter that you had intercepted was signed. There was a directive from Accra, from the ministry, the region, and indeed Nabongo. But Doninga, Bachongsa, Kardema, and all of that are not part of Nabongo. Doninga, Bachongsa is in Busa South. Indeed, Kardema is in Busa North. So how do you say that somebody who is based in Nabongo is the one that is able to provide a report about the availability of logs in Busa on the basis of...
you are suggesting that we have the harvesting of rosewood in all of these areas that you are mentioning?
Well, I am not saying it, but if you do your checks, you know that it is happening.
Dr. Park, can you hold the line for me? We're working the lines to get the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Kweku Asumacheme, to speak to us on these issues. He agreed to speak to us to clarify some issues that have been raised, especially from this letter. But just 2 weeks ago, my colleague in the Upper West region, our correspondent Rafiq Salam, brought us this report where the regional minister was very much livid about the activities of rosewood harvesting just 2 weeks ago. Listen.
Present members of the reconstituted Upper West Regional Coordinating Council on a wide range of issues which hinge on the development of the region. Upper West Regional Minister Dr. Hafiz Bin Sali stated that despite the ban on illegal mining and felling of rosewood, the practice is still going on, which is a great concern to the region.
The fight against illegal logging is hampered by the activities of natives who collaborate with the buyers to cut down rosewood for it to be salvaged later. I want to appeal to our chiefs, who are the custodians of our lands, to stop the endorsement of the activities of these people. The activities of illegal mining is polluting our water bodies and degrading the environment in the region, and consequently has negative impact on our livelihood.
And that's a report filed by my colleague Rafiq Salam on the illegal harvesting of rosewood there. We're still working the lines. We'll be joined shortly by the Minister for Land and Natural Resources, Kweku Asumacheme, to answer some questions on the issues being raised there. But there are two issues tonight. One on the express permission given to some companies to move into the forest in the Upper West region to salvage rosewood or evacuate, which is the word used in the letter we brought to you. But also there are claims of fresh harvesting of rosewood. Let's go on to the phone lines now and speak to Jeremiah Seidu. He is an environmental activist in the Savannah region. He is also a member of the Ministers' Committee that investigated the rosewood issue last year. Thank you very much, Mr. Seidu, for your time here on Top Story. Now, you are saying that the cutting of logs is even worse than before?
I saw the video a few weeks ago, and I went to the field and took a chainsaw myself and was slapping and cutting fresh rosewood. Because anytime I reported, they said that it was not happening, it was not true. That video is available. I can share that video with Joy and you can play it on your TV. I took a chainsaw from the loggers and I held it myself and I cut rosewood. I have that video and I shared it out into the system. If you want, I can bring it and you put it on your TV and they will take it up. Fresh logging is happening across the Savannah Ecological Zone. It is not in Upper West only, it's not in Upper East only, it's not in Savannah region. It is happening everywhere. Where I went and took the log and I was sawing the rosewood was in Wasipe traditional area, that is in Daboya. I shared a place called Broto. It's about a few kilometers away from the Savannah regional capital. I was in UJC. They loaded a truck. I made a phone call in the phone, talking to the driver who told me that the MacDon was given the permit by government, and MacDon funds the Flagstaff House. And here are the permits, and they will charge 20-footer container 5,000 cedis before they get a paper to move rosewood from UJC to Tema, and 10,000 to move a 40-footer container. 3 days ago in East Gonja, when this story of this lynching of the 90-year-old woman came, one of our colleagues went there to testify, and he ran into a fresh rosewood cut. It is fresh happening now. There's nothing like salvaging. There is fresh cutting of rosewood. What they do is that they drive right into the bush now with the containers, carrying charcoal bags. They go and offload the charcoal bags and load the rosewood, and they will line the back side of the rosewood with dry logs. On the road from Wasipe to Colombo, when you go to Wasipe, if you go to Daboya, on the road to the secondary school area, there was a contractor on that road, and there was, raw fresh rosewood being sown.
So Mr. Sedu, when you hear that the Forestry Commission is giving people the green light, express permission to go into the forest to salvage rosewood, what will be your reaction to that? Because from what you are saying, we are being deceived essentially. It is just a facade. People go in there, harvest the fresh wood, and then pretend as though these are logs that they are salvaging, which is what you're telling us. So if you see a letter today from the Forestry Commission giving people the approval, the go-ahead to do this, how do you react to that?
Oh, it is not strange to me. Those letters have been there even on the 11th of March 2019 when they put the ban. They were signing CITES permits. I have permits that have been signed on the 11th of March when the minister was on air banning it. As I speak now, there are CITES that have been signed and they will expire on 20th December 2020. So it's not, those letters, they bring them to fool or close people's eyes. There's nothing, there's no ban. In reality, there is no ban.
But when you say they bring them to fool people's eyes, you mean that the letters are not genuine, or that the Forestry Commission officials are complicit in this issue?
The letters are genuine, but the Forestry Commission people will tell you that it's coming from above. And some of them, I have been witness to some of them. You go to them with a letter, you go to them with a tract. You'll be there and they will make a call. By the time you realize, police officers will come and escort the tract away. Many times. Police officers, the letter that is going out right now, they didn't give it, the committee, I was on the committee. The committee didn't ask that it is the police commanders who are supposed to do it. We cited the police people as accomplices to the illegalities from the EIA report. We cited security, national BNI. We cited those people in the Flagstaff House. What is it called? National security or security. Those people. We cited all of them. And we mentioned it. But the state said they didn't see anything about that one.
So, Mr. Sedu, as part of the recommendations of the committee which you sat on, you said that for the interim, all line logs of rosewood will be evacuated to a central location across the hotspot and auctioned to the general public. Since you issued this report, has anything of the sort happened?
We didn't even say they should do that. We said that they should leave it to the district assemblies, the MMDAs, to take a decision. They should leave it. The forestry people are...
Mr. Sedu, what I'm reading to you is in the reports, and this is point 3 of the recommendations that the committee gave us.
The report we gave to the minister has been 3 key things has happened to that report. They have rejected evidence we brought from the field. They have cleared evidence we found on the field, and they have refused for us to bring evidence on the field. That is why I personally, as a representative of CSO, will go to the field myself with my own resources, personal resources, to go and bring the videos I have shared recently, to go and interview people, to go and open containers, to go and take a chainsaw myself and be on the rosewood so that the minister will see it. When I shared it with the ministry, the response I got from the ministry was that they were fighting COVID-19 and I'm there fighting rosewood. And immediately I was deleted from the committee that did the investigation from the rosewood. One of my other colleagues was also deleted. As I speak to you now, I'm no more on that committee. They've deleted me on the platform. They've deleted me from that platform because I shared that video that we have done work and we've deceived the nation and we are covering the nation and bad things on rosewood are going on. It's unfortunate that the Forestry Commission, may so rest in peace, the CEO of Forestry Commission is passed on. These are some of the things we wish that we would have brought up today for people to look at. Some of the forestry officers are genuinely against it, but because it is a source of revenue, because it is a source of money to use to support party boys, to support foot soldiers, these are all happening and we pretend. I tell you, those rosewood, those tracks, they are being escorted by security people. They are being escorted by custom officers. They are being escorted by national security people. They are being escorted by police. They are being escorted by fire. All the security agencies escort this rosewood.
Mr. Saidu, thank you very much. I want to thank you for your time here on Top Story. That is Jeremiah Saidu, environmental activist in the Savannah region. He is also a member of the committee that investigated the rosewood issue last year. He represented civil society on that committee. Very interesting revelations, Joseph, being made by Mr. Saidu there.
Well, what he was again pointing out to you is that the document you were reading from
was the minister's statement,
the minister's press statement,
which he said was informed by the report he received.
Yes, so what Saidu is pointing to is that the recommendation that lying logs be evacuated is not something that the committee recommended, but is the minister taking an informed decision based on what he saw in the committee's report, virtually went against what the committee recommended and went ahead to direct that. But just to make this quick point as well, one of the general recommendations in the committee's report was that the ban on harvesting, exports, transportation should remain in force, and that law enforcement should be strengthened in the hotspots when it comes to rosewood exploitation, and that there should be the deployment of a rapid response team to help halt the further harvesting of rosewood. What we're seeing now clearly is a situation of most likely, and again, what we're hearing from the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources is that they are virtually unaware of this move on the part of the Forestry Commission to ask companies to go clear of the logs. So it's looking clear like a situation where, despite the minister's ban as was directed about a year ago, the Forestry Commission has gone ahead and has given a contrary directive to companies to go ahead and get out their logs, and some have taken advantage to do the felling of the rosewood.
Thank you very much. That's my colleague Joseph Opoku-Gato, who has been following this issue of rosewood. Indeed, he has done a full documentary on the situation. Let me state that the Lands Minister, Kweku Asumacheme, had earlier agreed to speak to us. My producers got in touch with him, and he says he's unable to speak at the moment. He is still in the process of gathering some more information, and then he'll be able to respond to some of the issues raised by the civil society group, by the the residents, and also in the letter that we brought to you. Top story is brought to you by Bond Savings and Loans. Your success, our passion. Gasem, the nation build, and Vodafone. The future is exciting. Ready? There's no way you run out of things to do during this lockdown because Vodafone has got you sorted with too much data. Now double that data at the same price. So whether you're taking an exciting masterclass or binge watching Netflix series or bringing the party to Zoom, you now get too much data for the day and too much bonus for midnight till 4 a.m. That's even more fun and way more than you're paying for. Dial 700 hash to get 3 GB data for 10 CDs, 8 GB data for 20 CDs, and 20 GB data for 50 CDs bundles. Stay home and stay connected with Vodafone because too much data, there's almost nothing you can't do. Right after this commercial break, I'll take you to the studios of the Joy News because we're bringing to you live that program. We promised you the ticket, the Jane and John ticket, because the NDC will be formally outdooring the running mate to John Dramani Mahama at the University of Professional Studies. Stay with us.